Have you seen those clips on your preferred dopamine machine brain rot short form platform of Winter Soldier diving into a team and slamming Do you want to be the thing that keeps the enemy Jeff awake at night, shaking in fear? And look no further. This is everything you need to know about the Winter Soldier in Marvel Rivals. Bucky's cold metal hand gently traced the chiseled contours of Steve's chest as his breath quickened and shit. Wait, wrong script. Bucky's cold metal hand is usually the last thing an unfortunate flanker or out of position frontline will ever see, and it's as simple as having good aim and hitting your shots. No, but in all honesty, before we properly jump into things, to play this character well, you will have to be able to hit follow-up shots with his primary fire. If aiming isn't your strong suit, don't worry, cause this skill you will pick up and improve the more you play the hero. First, the basics.
And stay down.
Rotterstern is his primary weapon. Has 3 shots in the magazine, each dealing 70 damage per shot, with a 2x multiplier for criticals for 140 damage. These rounds are projectile, meaning that they will have travel time, and you will have to lead your shots on moving targets. Bucky will deal maximum damage up to 20 meters, at which point he will start to deal with damage drop-off on his shots. After surpassing 30 meters, his damage will deal 55 and 110 for body shots and criticals respectively. This means that even at maximum range, his primary fire can one-clip any strategist or duelist in the game at any distance if you land all 3 headshots. After a range of like 65 to 80 meters and further, you'll start to experience very minor weapon spread, although this doesn't really impact your gameplay. But if you try to challenge a hero like Hawkeye or Hela in a particularly far away spot, you might notice some inconsistencies. After your rounds impact an enemy or any player construct like Loki's clones, Namor's turrets, Penny's nests, even her mines, anything like that, they will explode, dealing 70 damage in a 4-meter cone behind the target. This AoE also has a damage drop-off if your shots are connecting at a range further than 30 meters. This is really inconsistent, but the explosion seems to do 45.5 damage if the round is fired from a distance greater than 30 meters. I know what you're thinking. Only 3 bullets? 3 isn't a whole lot of anything, and I would say, hey! 3 of anything is perfectly average, but don't worry. Winter Soldier's passive ability compensates for his shortcomings.
Stand down!
Whenever the Winter Soldier uses his bionic arm, he gains bonus HP, and Rotterstern reloads automatically. And thankfully, every single ability that Bucky has uses his arm in some fashion, including his ult, which means that any other ability in your arsenal will give you a full mag. Your first ability, and also the most consistently powerful, is the Bionic Hook.
Stick around!
This hook can be charged to reach a range of 20 meters. After being fully charged, it can be held for 4 seconds before the ability goes on cooldown for 8 seconds. It deals 15 damage on impact and pulls any player towards you when you hit them. Using it will grant you 30 bonus HP, which is added to your health pool the second you start the ability, giving you a little extra survivability before peaking. The Bionic Hook also has a similar AoE effect to his primary fire, allowing you to grapple multiple enemies if they are standing within 4 meters behind the initial target. After you connect this ability, you're also able to rotate your camera and pull enemies a small additional distance into your team, making it harder for them to disengage and easier for you to follow up with your next ability, the Trooper's Fist.
Playtime's over!
This is a short-ranged dash granting you 8 meters of movement in any direction. If any opponent happens to be standing within the 8-meter range, or an additional 2 meters in front of that, they will be taken along with you and be dealt 25 damage. Immediately after the dash ends, Bucky performs an uppercut that will deal 65 damage to any enemy within a 180-degree cone with a radius of 4 meters in front of you, and also knocking them up into the air. Because this uppercut has additional range, it can be used to damage and knock up enemies even if they weren't hit by the first dash. You also have a very small window between the dash and the uppercut where you can flick your mouse to secure a hit on an enemy elsewhere. As with all of his abilities, Winter Soldier can hit multiple enemies with the dash and the uppercut if they're in the same area. Trooper's Fist then goes on cooldown for 12 seconds, and this ability will grant you 50 bonus HP. These two abilities, the Hook and the Fist, can be used together to create nasty combos that make it almost impossible to escape. You pull an enemy, or multiple enemies, into you and then turn your camera, you can immediately follow up with the Fist to push them further into your team. The Winter Soldier's final cooldown ability is Tainted Voltage.
Not so fast!
A quick blast of energy leaves your fist and travels an infinite range, piercing through players and dealing 55 damage to each. This ability, just like the Hook, will grant 30 bonus HP and go on a cooldown for 6 seconds. The blast is a projectile and it's slightly slower than your primary fire, but it's got a much bigger hitbox and makes it quite easy to hit at long ranges. If a player gets struck by Tainted Voltage, they will have their movement speed reduced for 3 seconds, and if any airborne hero like Iron Man, Storm is hit by this, they will receive the knocked down status, which will cause them to fall to the ground before being able to return to the skies again. Finally, his ultimate, the Kraken Impact.
Armed and dangerous!
Now, contrary to popular belief, this might be the weakest part of his kit. Not because of any power dynamic between his abilities, but because of how you'll get dogpiled on faster than a slice of bread at the duck pond by the enemy team the second you start screaming about art! Though, in reality, if you're left unchecked, this ultimate can easily wipe entire teams. Even push them far back into their own spawn doors. It works like this. Whenever you activate your ultimate ability, you jump into the air and are granted 50 bonus hit points. You can reactivate your ult using your primary firebind to slam back into the ground, dealing 100 damage to any enemies in a massive 10-meter diameter. Upon successfully hitting an enemy, they are marked with a debuff called Culling. For 5 seconds, the bottom 20% of their health pool becomes marked in red, and if anything brings them below that threshold, they're immediately executed, and the Winter Soldier gains the ability to recast his ultimate for the next 8 seconds. This stacks, well, indefinitely. There is no theoretical upper limit to how many times you can reuse your ultimate, leading to insane clips, kind of like this.
That is probably what happened, because I was not going crazy. I don't get this.
Bro, push up with me, push up with me, push up with me, I promise.
I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. I'm with you, still. Still with you. Did you kill them? I'm still focusing you. There's a ball behind you if you want.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Bruh.
I also want to quickly add that whilst I'm sure this is a bug, at the moment, any damage you deal after the initial cast of Kraken Impact will go towards building up your next ultimate. This almost definitely isn't intended, and it's kind of nuts that you can use your ult, and when it does finally end, you can be over halfway to your next one. The best part is, you don't have to be the one to perform the execute on an enemy. Even if a teammate or a turret brings them below 20% HP, or they fall off the map, this passive activates and automatically triggers the kill for you. Culling can also be performed on Loki's clones, giving him additional casts of Kraken Impact. I've heard a lot of rumors about this also working on other player-spawned entities like Penny's Nest and Namor's turrets, although unfortunately, or rather maybe luckily, this is not true. Don't waste your ultimate on these constructs. I also want to quickly mention that triggering Wolverine's passive will count as a reset for Kraken Impact. Now that you know everything you need to know about his abilities, the numbers, and how they work, we can get into the real juicy stuff about fun combos. Teams he works well with, heroes he works well against, and his flaws. Bucky's biggest drawback is his short range combined with limited mobility. Makes it really a bad idea to flank as you don't have a safe disengage, and it's very difficult to challenge long-ranged heroes. When attacking, his playstyle is best suited to sticking in the front line with a tank. dealing huge burst damage to enemy vanguards and massive AoE to anyone too close behind them. Always keep an eye out for a more squishy character that's a little bit out of place that you can hook and kill quickly, or a low HP vanguard that you can displace and finish off. On defense, use your third-person camera to check around corners before engaging, and always try and have your hook ready to pull one or more opponents into your team before the strategists have a chance to catch up. In poke fights, try to aim for critical hits, because you can still burst someone down from full HP, but you're better off staying with your supports and other backline characters. The Winter Soldier's 1v1 favors him hugely, with the only character really being able to challenge him at close range being Psylocke, and even then, it's not a good fight for her. Playing with your backlines means you can counter any pesky dive heroes trying to snipe an easy kill on an unaware healer. If during any fight you notice that a lot of characters are grouped closely together in a tight choke, unload as many bullets as you can to take advantage of the AoE burst. Despite his pretty bad range, you'd be surprised how many accidental kills you can get just from shooting a vanguard. The best person in a team with Bucky is Rocket. At the time of this video, the Winter Soldier's only team up is with Rocket, who can grant him infinite ammo and increased fire rate, turning Bucky's DPS into the highest non-ultimate damage in the game for a few seconds. Easily bursting down some of the biggest HP pools in the game in seconds, and even out-damaging some support ultimates. Bucky also does extremely well with any tank, but particularly Magneto and Doctor Strange, allowing him to safely engage in long-range fights without cover, or to safely rule the front lane without fear of getting bullied. Combining him with any powerful flanker or long-range hero like Psylocke, Spider-Man, Hela, Hawkeye, means that these DPS can cover his weak spots, whilst also not having to fear backline divers. But Bucky is such a powerful hero right now, he can really fit into any team composition and still outperform everyone else. I've touched on this already, but the Winter Soldier's 1v1 is pretty much unmatched, as both the hook and the punch guarantee free hits if you can aim well enough. Your basic 1v1 combo will look something like this. Hook an enemy, and as they are being pulled towards you, turn your camera slightly and hold primary fire so that the first shot comes out as soon as it can. With a little bit of tracking, you should be able to hit your second shot before your opponent is able to do anything, and then follow up with a punch and land your third shot. Both the hook and punch are stuns, and your opponent will not be able to react to this combo if you execute it flawlessly. Hitting every single shot as a critical would also deal upwards of 500 damage in under 2 seconds. And don't worry if you can't hit crits consistently, because even hitting 3 body shots will still be more than enough to step on every single duelist and strategist in the game. Because of this combo, the only duelists that are ever really able to safely contest the Winter Soldier are Hela and Hawkeye, and also sometimes like Iron Man, Storm, and Widow, but they're bad. They don't matter. They're not really a threat, just a minor inconvenience. And finally, to end off this video, the ideal way to use your ultimate to the best of its ability. After you slam on any squishy character in the game, as long as they don't get burst healed, 1 critical hit will be enough to execute them and trigger the chain. If you're good at aiming, you can chain it across an entire team without even stopping for breath. If your aim leaves something to be desired, then don't worry, because 1 punch and 1 body shot will also bring any squishy below 20% HP. You can also hit a body shot and then follow up with a voltage charge to secure the kill, or communicate with your team to focus the targets that you've weakened that can trigger the reset for you. Or, shoot wildly everywhere, use all your ability, you'll probably hit something, you'll be fine. Although it's fun to tear apart a poorly organized team on your own, the reality is this just doesn't really happen outside of quick play. In competitive, communication is better, vanguards and strategists actually peel for their teammates, duelists actually hit their shots. In competitive setting, the best way to use your ultimate is to look for any targets that have a little icon above their head whilst your ultimate is charged. This icon means that slamming on them will instantly kill them, resetting your cooldown. Using this ultimate to secure a single kill in a team fight is usually an extremely valuable play, especially considering how much raw damage he can do with his base kit, allowing him to have the ultimate ready pretty much every other fight. Another way you can use your ultimate is to hit an out of position tank, making it even easier for your team to punish them, or using it to try and force out a support ultimate like Luna Snows or Mantis's, giving teammates with a more lethal ultimate like Groot or Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, Punisher, Hela, anyone like that, a window to use their ultimates whilst the counters are on cooldown. And that's about it. Everything you need to know about the Winter Soldier in Marvel Rivals. If there are any other heroes you'd want to see an in-depth guide for, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Let me know who to dive into next. If you have any additional information that I might have missed or other fun combos for this character, please do let me know. Thank you so much for watching.